As a business owner, I rightly started this episode saying that I look up to you as a business owner as well, because you do face these things and you don't go and lie down, you don't side. What does it take to say you rock up, you show up, and you stand firm for what you believe in, you stand firm for the people you lead?
Look, that is definitely, I don't want to say it's that face or that mask that we spoke about, but it is a chess game and a timing game. So sometimes I've got to bite my tongue, and sometimes I'm taking hits that are really sad. And I'll tell you about what happened.
Unfiltered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, Unfiltered AF.
Today, we have no stranger on Unfiltered, and Al van Buuren. Al, welcome again.
Thank you.
So,
Why am I back?
why?
Did I get caught taking the cutlery and cockery or something? You know?
Well,
Do I need to apologize?
Anything is possible, but you know what? I'm going to start this with your episode is still the highest number in terms of views of all Unfiltered episodes. So the public really loves you, and that's why we had to have you back. I remember jokes about die tannie met haar cookie seep, stuff like that. You know, our audience really loved that. I hope you...
Except the tannie with the cookie soup, I see.
Listen. I played that reel to a couple of tannies, and I say that with not with any disrespect. So, and you know, laughed the hardest at that joke. They did.
I told a story, which is actually a three-quarter true story about we were working the till at Haparama, and I was racing my manager at the time, who was still in contact with me, still close friends, and we were racing to see who was the best cashier in the business.
Okay.
It was heydays. Those days, heydays were phenomenal. There were thousands of customers. I mean, the delis and that were all at the back of the store those days, and the customers were right at the back in queues. I mean, trolleys and trolleys. And Mark and I were racing, and it happens. This old lady gets to your till. You know, where they pack one, they see the score. They pack another one, they see the score. And I knew this old lady. She was a sweet old duck, but she was destroying my numbers. And she dropped a Lux soap on the till, and I leaned over the till and I said, "Mevrou, jou cookie seep het geval." And she said, "Ag nee meisie, en dis nie my cookie seep, dis my gesigseep."
So it was very well received. I was scared though, but it seemed like nobody took offense to that. But Al, it's lovely having you back. And the reason I'm having you back is, you know, you're the type of business owner that I want to become, and that I aspire to become, in terms of your business acumen, in terms of how you deal with your team, how you deal with challenges. You're always yourself. Yes, there's high stress. Yes, there's events where there's less stress. You always push your targets. You always lead your team, not push your team. How can I put that? You don't force your team. You lead your team to accomplish targets, so that they want to accomplish that. So I think these are all traits that a lot of our viewers can actually look up to and learn from you. And I know we've had a lot of off-camera discussions pertaining to business, because I want to also learn from you more. But I think today, if we can delve a little bit deeper into your business acumen, into who is Al by heart, and not necessarily Al, the CEO. We can touch on that a little bit as well. But by heart, who is Al? And what is your current drive? Why are you driving what you're driving? Do you have a lot of persecution or faced persecution from peers, from colleagues, from management, whatever you want to call it? There's so many avenues where persecution can come from. So Al, just who are you? If somebody walks next to you or bumps into you in the street, who is Al van Buuren?
Sure, I am the sum of a lot of mistakes. I am absolutely, because I am not scared to fail. I'm scared to not try. So you will already, that, you know, we've been working with each other for nearly a year now. You'll know that I don't want to say I'm fearless, but I want to give something a go.
Yeah.
And too often we focus on what could go wrong and not what could go right. So I'll give you an example. You take a standard set of golf clubs, and in that bag of golf clubs is a driver, there's a wedge, there's a putter, there's every tool that you need on the golf course is in that bag. But what does your caddy tell you to do? Mind the tree, mind the bunker, mind the water. The water shouldn't come into play because you've got the tools to go over the water. And sometimes that negativity comes from within and it makes you focus on what could go wrong instead of what your goal is. And a lot of us make that mistake. And it really takes a lot of trial and error to get yourself into a position where you've got to keep on reminding yourself what the goal is, not what the consequences are. There are consequences, there always are, for everything. But you can't focus on them. You've got to put the risk management in place to handle those things, but never take your eye off the goal. And like on a golf course, you can fluff one into the bush, but then you must have the second shot. And what a privilege. You get a chance to correct, and you get a chance to correct, and you get a chance to correct. So it's lekker.
Exactly.
So that's me. I really try not to be different people. Some people have got a personality for when they're at work, and a personality for when they're at church, and a personality for when they're shopping. And it all falls apart when you see them dealing with the lowest rung of society, somebody that can't repay them. And then you see the truth in their heart come out. So I think that, and I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, he'll probably listen to this, but my own pastor, some people are always shocked that I actually go to church, but my own pastor, I had this chat to him. I said, listen, I tell dirty jokes, I call a spade, not a hysterectomy. If that's a problem, tell me now. Find another church, And he was like, well, this is the way God works, is that, he's given you a talent to make people laugh. Maybe he's going to give you a conviction around how you make the people laugh, and maybe on the swearing, But in general, I try, and I mean, I could show you. You got to have fun.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to be somebody, it's difficult. So rather just be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So do you then say that a lot of people go through life wearing a mask?
Absolutely. There is it was terrible growing up. We grew up in the leadership of the church, and on a Sunday you'd see people stand up in the church, and you know them. And you also know that my mom is busy counseling some of those people standing up, and they're raising their hands and what have you. I got a sister that, is probably Satan's sister, but she raises her hands in the front of the church and everybody thinks she's holy. But because I swear and call it as it is, I'm maybe not, I'm a bad person somehow.
Or as holy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm full of holes, I'm not holy. But this is what happens. So people want to say, they go to church, we act holy, whatever. But come Monday, the guy's banging his secretary, he's embezzling the boss, he's maybe kicking the garden boy, he hates his dog. So yes, people do wear masks. You go and meet with the bank, you all of a sudden put on a tie. Everybody in that meeting knows you don't wear a tie because you haven't done the knot right. So you've only managed to convince yourself, that you should be wearing a tie, So it does. Sooner or later, people will see through the different masks that you may try and put on.
But why do you think then people do wear those masks? Because they've got a church mode, they've got a friend mode, they've got a family mode, they've got a work mode.
It can only be one of two things. Either they're insecure, or they're trying to manipulate. Can only be one of those two things. You can put on a policeman's uniform, but are you trained? Are you, do you really, are you passionate about, are you prepared to take a bullet? But you can put the uniform on,
You want it for the show, but what's the, was it you who, we spoke about this concept a while ago. You said that it's about your why.
Why?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
about your why. So if
That's
you've
your
got-
intellectual capital, why you do things,
Yeah.
100%.
So if your why is solid, it doesn't matter what the uniform is that you wear, correct? It's about your goal, your destination. Why? What's driving you to do this?
And that's why when you have a why and you dress it differently, or you're trying to hide from what it is you're trying to do, it comes through. You can't, you can't escape it.
Do you think pressure unmasks people?
You know what? At the moment, when you look at what's happening in the internet around the world, you can see the boiling pots. One person will say they like Trump. The next person is gonna rattle off a machine gun of all the wrong information about Trump. I'm not saying that there's no bad information out there, but there's no sense in rattling off statistics and nonsense, And because there is no filter, we can do that.
Yeah.
You can just say what you want. So now what happens is the people that are speaking are not only having to worry about their message, they're having to worry about how that message is going to be received and how it's going to be misinterpreted.
Exactly.
And then you lose the honesty and the integrity of that message. Because sometimes you've got to call a spade a spade. Taking a nuclear weapon away from a terrorist is not making a war. It's stopping 100 wars. And I think that is the risk now, because we're trying to make sure. One actor that's always in. I don't want to mention his name, but he mentioned that he's a Christian, and overnight he lost about 100,000 followers. He's a great comedian, and overnight he lost 100,000 followers for saying that he's a Christian because of the internet.
So do you think the internet plays a big role then why certain people do wear masks?
It's exactly why. It is exactly why, because in the old days, a reporter was a reporter. They actually had to go and investigate, get facts. It took 2 days for them to sit on the tick machine to write the story, then the editor, then the Tipex. So there was filters and processes. Now, anybody with a cell phone is a reporter, and we just believe what comes through. Facebook is some kind of a truth.
Well,
and the person that's talking, the cuck, is not necessarily telling you the whole story. Possibly, usually a perspective, honest, and often not an honest version of that perspective.
or they want to create controversy to get clicks and
To-
likes
to
and
get-
follows
to get clicks.
and
Yeah.
because that's, I don't want to call it a sickness, but it becomes an addiction, online addiction, that people are striving towards clicks and follows for acknowledgement and recognition.
Look, it's there's a lot of people will tell you that there's no publicity like bad publicity, and I suppose there's some honesty in that, but you still got to sleep at night. That's fine. You can be a real tough legend on Facebook, but at some time you're gonna answer for whatever you're doing.
You get these keyboard warriors. So while we're on that topic, I want to get your opinion. We recently had an episode with Ruan and JP Smith.
Yes.
They were on Op My Eish last night. The night before we recorded this episode, it was a reunion.
Okay.
Of all the ladies.
Yeah.
And Ruan and JP. So JP was Ruan's wingman. Ruan is the
Yes.
eligible bachelor. So they unpacked their hows and whys in that episode now. But going back a little bit, I know Ruan and JP recorded this episode the day before they filmed this reunion.
Yeah.
So, and a couple of weeks ago, we started putting out that episode. And I asked, well, there was a lot of controversy because the one night, Ruan actually spoke to one of the ladies, what the public perceived as a very abusive. I'm not going to raise my opinion on it right now,
Okay.
But the reality is they told us 300 hours of footage has been recorded, of which only 13 hours was edited and showed to the public. So a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes and was filtered. So it can skew an opinion, but be it as it may, they're taking shots. I had them right here with us, and I had a little bit of their heart revealed as well, where even Ruan started crying at one point, like real tears. The whole room was crying.
That point I saw, yes.
The whole room was crying. And it just showed something of their hurt as well. But now they're in the public eye, and they're taking shots. There's a lot of bullying going on, calling him names, there's personal attacks. And I also asked him a very relevant question to JP and Ruan: where does your identity lie? And that's what sparked the emotion in the longer run. But that was not well received by the public, because they've labeled them as A, but they're actually this. So what's your take on online bullying like that, where there's a perception of somebody, but they don't know the deeper meaning of a person and their why?
You know, there's an adage, you got to, before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. So 10 split seconds of a Facebook or an Instagram reel doesn't tell you what a person has gone through, you know, and it certainly is not enough time to contextualize anything, actually. You know, as a child, I was bullied. You know, I was a fat little redhead with glasses and freckles. I mean, I had the trifecta, you know, until one day I dawned the living shit out of the school bully, and then that was... And it's funny, he's currently being bullied. I watch him on Facebook, and he whines a lot because he's being bullied.
He provokes it.
No, he's now some kind of a victim, and I'm like, but I went to school with you. Do you remember the day I blocked somebody? I'm fine. I'm his friend now, you know.
Okay.
We're not close friends, but, you know...
But there's no hard feelings today.
I don't hold grudges, you know. But the fact that we believe that we can go onto a public forum and degrade somebody's character says something about one person on the side of the screen, and it's the person on the keyboard side. It is not the person on the other side. If you believe you can go and attack somebody in the open, to the veracity that I've been seeing, not just on this, but in general, it's disgusting, you know. And I don't like to Bible punch, but there's a lot of stories, you know. There's some wisdom in that. Why you you know, trying to take the sand out of somebody's eye when there's a log in yours,
The splint out of your eye.
100%. So I think there's a lot of people that are very opinionated. But the bullying and the attacks, it's not warranted. It's not helpful.
The algorithm loves it.
The algorithm might like it, but just in fact, last week in our town, a little matriculant girl committed suicide because of a bunch of kids who thought that they could make up a story. There was a little bit of truth in it. Stretch it, play with it, and then hit back, and this little girl couldn't live with it. And that is going to be one of the consequences that happens with these bullying incidents.
Unfortunately.
You know. It's a terrible side, but it is not excusable. No, it is not excusable, especially when you don't have the context, the facts, the whatever. I mean, you know, years ago I had an employee who won Boersoeke Vrou.
Okay.
I won't tell you how she resigned, but it was completely unsanctimonious. I mean, she had just become the richest chick in town, and she resigned. And there was some interesting language and what she didn't need and what she didn't like and whatever you. And then went to the ex-husband and did the same, and went to the landlord and did the same, and then said, take the furniture and do whatever you want to with it, because I'm now moving to the farm. When she got to the farm, guess what she had won? She didn't win the farm owner. She won the farm manager. And the farm manager only had a 2-bedroom shack on the property. There was no furniture. and now you have to eat humble pie. So just how you dealt with your victory is how you're going to deal with your loss.
Yeah.
And that's what I see happening in all this bullying. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Now imagine you talk about masks. Imagine trying to win a TV show like that. The masks that get put on.
Yeah.
Okay, by everybody. The farmer, the girls participating. There was a girl killed for trying to resurrect her social story. She was with a guy she shouldn't have been with. He shot her. So now who are we going to attack? The guy that shot? Absolutely. But there's also girls that put themselves in the wrong places. If you put yourself in the wrong place, a kid goes to the wrong nightclub, a person goes and gets the wrong job. Just this morning, I go and fetch our domestic, and she's standing in the road, and I'm saying, why are you standing in the road? There's a pavement. There's fog and mist. Somebody's going to come around this corner. You're going to be gone. If you put yourself into the wrong position, you open yourself up for trouble.
So on the topic of bullying,
yeah,
it's not only limited to what's happening in the school system today. Well, even when you and I were kids, I think we differ like 2-3 years, I think. Bullying was very relevant back in the day as well. But I want to touch a little bit on corporate bullying, because that is very relevant today as well. And please correct me if I'm wrong. In corporate business, is there bullying going on? Is it happening? Is it relevant?
There's more bullying that happens around a boardroom table than whatever happened on the school playground. Okay. And as I said to you, I was bullied, so I can tell you about that. So now you sit around the boardroom table. And who's around the boardroom table? There might be the shareholder. He's got his own idea. You might have the CEO. He's got his idea. And then you get to the accountant, who ultimately has to authorize a payment. He's got his idea. Who's going to win? Okay. So in business, we are bullied all the time. We're bullied by the international company that comes to our country with access to cheaper products. They've got more money to waste in terms of growing the market share, bigger marketing budgets, etc. You've got bullying from the bank. A bank is an organization that if you can prove to them you don't need money, they're prepared to lend it to you. But they bully you. Are we not all being bullied around SARS? Go to the petrol pump and buy 1 liter, you're getting bullied. So, and the corporate world is very easy to bully, and I'll tell you why. All the matrix in a corporate environment are negative matrix. Think about it. Gross profit. It's what's left after a whole lot of transactions. An expense, salary, it's a negative, it's a cost. So typically what companies do is they look to the people that can expose those negative matrix, and they make them managers. They are incapable of leadership, but they're very good at managing or highlighting the negatives. I can show you your salary bill is too high. How the hell can you spend this on marketing? You can't have this for rent. Why on earth would you want to buy your IT guy a new computer? He must use the old one. Maybe we don't need tires on that truck for now. Because all of these are the matrix. They're negative. They're not really good for the business. A handbrake and as I say, risk management is very good. But if you're allowing those people to make the decisions, they're going to bully. They will. The first thing that will be put on the table is some set of financials that justifies that argument or that point of view.
Their narrative.
And sadly, they say the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie, but the interpretation of the numbers often can. Yeah. I'll give an example. So in my business, wastage is is often seen by the accountants as a swear word. You know, you don't want to throw away stuff. Now imagine I go to the market and I buy 100 lettuce and I build this beautiful display. But by lunchtime, we've got the air conditioner and it's dried out the top 5 lettuce. Now they're looking old and wilted and what have you. If I leave those 5 lettuce there, I'm not going to sell the other 95 beautiful ones that are still there. So the accountant says, well, next time, because you threw away 5, rather order 95. So now what happens is we order 95, but we still have to throw 5 away. So now we only sell 90. And then we come back and we say, hey, no. You see, the problem now is you're still throwing away 5. Your percentage of wastage is now at 6%.
It's higher now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now we're going to whip you more. So you can only order 85. And guess what? We now only sell 78. And all of a sudden 65. And eventually you whip yourself out of business because of that kind of bullying and the understanding. So very important. And that's why the better CEOs, and if you look at guys like Jobs and what have you, they listened to the criticism, what have you. They dialed it out and continued to focus on the goal. In their environment, they had less people worrying about the money, but in our context, in most South African companies, are a month away from insolvency. It's that one check from the medical aid, one payment from the government tender that could sink you. So you have to listen to the people that are whipping you, and then they're bullying you.
But how do you as Al work around that? Because you face bullying on a continuous basis. I'm not generally talking about present day,
Yeah.
but there is bullying going on with, you name it, employees, suppliers, and.
You know, sadly I've had the unions visit me, put me through an audit. And you go through the bullying, you show the facts, you come out clean. Then you've got political organizations, they come and they bully, and then you show them the facts, and they leave. Every time you catch, and we've caught a lot of staff stealing in my business, and they go back and they tell their friends, I wasn't caught stealing. The problem is that my boss is a racist. My boss likes a different soccer team. My boss has a different religion. It's not about the theft. And those people come back with the armchair bullies regularly. I've had the mayor. And luckily they've had to have some level of decency in dealing with me, and we've been able to work through it. But I mean, there was one particular organization that did arrive and said, we're here to loot. We are going to loot because you fired some black people. And then that gets scary, because you know that's not remotely true. These are people that sold hundreds of thousands of rands worth of alcohol. It's not about the race. It's about the fact that they've put 100 other people's jobs in jeopardy.
Exactly.
But in that split second, just the thought of, hold on, we have fired a couple of black people, but we've also employed a lot more black people than were previously employed, and the maths won that argument. But the bullying could have worked. And bullying is not always presented as bullying. You must do this. There is that subtle undertone that says comply.
So, bullying, is it a form of control?
It's an absolute form of control. It's an absolute form of control. And it's not a good one.
No, it's not good control.
It's really not a good. It's not a good one.
So, but the risk to your business could have resulted in millions and a lot of job losses if you couldn't solve this or negotiate it. Let's call it negotiate the situation. Correct?
And most businesses have 10 of those situations a day. Absolutely. Think about what a strike is. Is a strike not bullying?
Yes, bullying.
It's absolutely bullying.
What happened yesterday with a very high-profile case. I'm not going to mention names now. High-profile case. There was threats of riots.
Never mind that. Threats on the judge.
Yes. Yes.
So, let me tell you something. That lady has guns. She stood up and she spoke truth to power. I think that was an incredible situation, really.
Yeah. She said no to the bullying.
Absolutely, I'm not going to tell you. She dialed it out.
Yeah.
She dialed it out.
Now, as a business owner, I rightly started this episode saying that I look up to you as a business owner as well, because you do face these things and you don't go and lie down. You don't side. What does it take to say you rock up, you show up, and you stand firm for what you believe in, you stand firm for the people you lead?
Look, that is definitely, I don't want to say it's that face or that mask that we spoke about, but it is a chess game and a timing game. So sometimes I've got to bite my tongue, and sometimes I'm taking hits that are really sad. And I'll tell you about what happened. I brought a person into my business that had been a trusted employee for the last 10 years. We've done a lot for this particular person. We took our own furniture. We bought some furniture out of my personal checkbook, not the business. We relocated this person to make sure that I had somebody in the business that was not going to allow money to be stolen in my business. Guess who we caught stealing 3 weeks ago? Now here's the thing. I got to keep a straight poker face. I have to, because that is my job. Yeah. I have to take the hits and shield the business, shield the employees, but there's a whole bunch of things happening, because number one, I could face a race war if I didn't deal with it, because we've had these incidents in the last 6 months. Number two, I lose my integrity in terms of there's only one set of rules. I am taking a personal hit because it's a personal business. They stayed in my house when we first relocated. There's these kinds of things going on. And ultimately, you've got to sit back and say, am I going to react to this situation, or am I going to keep my focus on the prize? And I've become good at that. I'm not good at many other things, but I'm tenacious, and I seldom take my eye off the goal. So the side shows will happen, and they're sometimes vicious and ugly and what have you. But as much as they hurt and what have you, you can't change focus on the goal. Often you've got to change the plan of getting to the goal. But as soon as you take your eye off the goal, you got a problem. Yeah. And I've learned in my business career and my personal career is that if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. And if you're focusing on the problem, that's what you're going to hit.
Yeah.
It's profound. A lot of people say, you're talking cock, man. You got a budget and you got to, but no, you got to just quickly readjust and go right back to saying, that's the goal. If not, I wouldn't have managed 2 comrades. I wouldn't have managed to recover. I'll still have to recover in years to come. I will make mistakes. I will make mistakes. Life will happen. Yeah. Okay. We could have a power situation. We could have,
Yeah, all the unknowns.
The tragedy is the more vulnerable you are, the more susceptible you are to that bullying that sits around your business, and those are the people that should actually be there to support and help. Often they use the opportunity to bully through that vulnerability.
And they're trying to poke holes for weaknesses.
Correct.
Because if you say yes to bully and you just accept it, obviously based on merit, some battles you do choose. I don't know if I'm wrong in saying that, but Do you think that having a high emotional intelligence is crucial for any business owner? Especially, no, I can't even say just in South Africa, across the globe.
The best businessmen are businessmen that have got a higher EQ than an IQ. I mean, I can tell you some of the oaks I went to school with. You know, if you could fail your IQ test, these oaks were capable of it. Today they're multi-millionaires.
Because of the EQ.
Correct. Yeah.
And for those who don't understand an EQ, emotional coefficient, it is the ability to face these challenges and not react emotionally to it, but responding towards the challenge, correct? In a nutshell.
You see, you often don't have control over the incident. You've only got control over how you respond. That's the control you've got. You know, and also he has the slight curveball in that, is that when you profess to be a Christian, you're now dealt with a couple other things.
Yeah.
Okay, so for instance, I firmly believe that if God closes a door, He's seen something that you haven't.
Yeah.
And He's closing the door now. Again, you can choose to respond, or how you respond is what you've got the choice over. You might also have to remember that as much as you're being bullied at the boardroom, you walk out of the boardroom, you could now bully your subordinates because you've just taken a hit like the whipping boy, and now you come back and you pass that on. These are factors that we have to deal with on a daily basis.
But that translates in a very low EQ then again, because they can't absorb it and shield their team from it.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly. And I must just tell you one thing that I fundamentally believe, and that is blame is futile. No problem ever got solved with discovering who was to blame.
Exactly.
So if you focus on the solution, you will find the solution. You focus on the blame, everybody's just going to be in a bad situation. Yeah.
So Al, we need to start wrapping up. We've got so much more to chat about. It's going to be a trilogy, it seems. But just quickly, one or two topics.
Yeah.
Cash flow. I think that is the challenge for every single business owner in South Africa, except if you've got billions stashed away. But cash flow, how does one manage cash flow? In terms of a small business, if clients aren't paying, or you now need to pursue debt
So cash flow, there's a few things that I can tell you. Number one, cash flow is about cash flowing. In other words, money has to change hands.
Yeah.
So very often, as I mentioned, an accountant will tell you, stop ordering stock, because then you'll have more money it'll be easier to pay your creditors. But if you don't have the stock, money can't change hands and the cash flow dies. So that's a very difficult thing for a retailer like myself. That is very difficult. I mean, you can think for yourself, if I have to buy a pallet of milk to get the price, the price could be significant, 10 Rand an item, but I got to buy a pallet.
Yeah.
But that might take me 3 months to sell, but the creditor wants the money in a month's time. So that cash flow is a killer. Overheads are a killer on cash flow. Lifestyle is a killer on overhead. But the biggest killer of cash flow is actually growth.
Yep.
Imagine that.
That's true.
Growth actually hurts. It's like a vacuum. It just swallows your cash.
It does.
And again, now you get bullied because you've got the creditors who want their money, and they deserve their money.
Yeah.
I must tell you that I never take the stance, well, they can just wait. They deserve their money. You've committed to their money, and a cash flow projection can easily make a liar out of you, because you just need one of the components. Not enough sales, not enough gross profit, too much overheads. That can easily just hurt you. And again, a lot of businesses, because of not managing their cash flow properly, could be out of business a lot sooner than what you know, and usually the cash flow starts hurting the closer you are to your breakthrough. As you're getting to that point, a pump breaks, a tool breaks, and it's just enough to say, right, now what?
Yeah, exactly.
It is a hard thing.
But if you can push through that, that is the difference between successful and giving up, right?
Well,
If you can.
you see, the old adage of turnover is vanity, profit is sanity comes through. Yeah, because it's very easy to make your financials look like you're doing well and profitable.
Yeah.
But ultimately, somebody eventually holds up the bank statement and says, okay, but this is one side and that's the other side.
Unfiltered, filtered.
We can answer the questions on the financial side. We normally can't answer the bank statement
Yeah,
side.
exactly. So, Al, a short word of wisdom for, let's say it's a business, somebody wants to start their business now. And I think we did do this the
Yes.
last time, but let's focus on cash flow. They want to start a business, whatever the business might be. What is your one word of wisdom to them pertaining to cash flow?
Under promise, over deliver. And I'm guilty of this all the time. I mean, I try. But you've got to under promise and the person you've got to under promise to is yourself. Don't just think I'm going to have the business and within 3 months I'm going to have the house in Meyersdal and the Lamborghini. Forget about it. So it's going to take a lot longer. You're probably looking at 30, 40 months before the spoils can come. Make sure your reserves are bigger than what your worst nightmare is, if you can.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of people starting smaller businesses, which I love. A mechanic, he can start with the basic tools, or he can start with all the fancy computer systems. Very often, in fact, and I've dealt with, as you know, over 200 insolvent retail businesses over the years. We often think we need money, but we need more is control. You know, and that's something that's been ringing in my ears of late with my own challenges, is that what are the controls that I'm missing? But usually the cash flow comes from the controlling, especially controlling those measurables.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
but control them positively.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually look at some of the challenges, as I said, as an opportunity.
Exactly. And then I think we need to get to the last question. And what was it again? Okay, this is what it was. So on the topic of bullying, we spent a lot of time there today,
Yeah.
which I love. Thank you for that lovely insight from your side as well about bullying. What can you tell somebody who's starting their business now?
Yeah.
Because bullying is also toxic. So what can you tell them about bullying pertaining to clients and suppliers and themselves, those three elements to their business? What can you tell them about bullying? What do they need to look out for?
So let's say the customer. What is the customer going to bully with? Price. So you need to be not in a business of price. Okay, that's that. If your business is not about price, and a lot of our business, there's a little bit of a window. We brag about that we're cheaper and whatever, but your core business cannot be about price. It needs to be about value. Learn about what value is, because long after the price is paid, the value will shine through. Okay, so whether you're an electrician, do the job properly. Customer service. Okay, so you're only going to be bullied by your customers. I can get it cheaper down the road. I can get it cheaper on Temu, cheaper on Shein, whatever. That's probably the only bullying that they can do. Suppliers, they tend to use tricks where, you know what, I'm just going to go and supply down the road if you don't support me more, or they have tricks in terms of pricing structures. You've got to buy more to get better pricing. And that brings in the cash flow quadrant issues that you were talking about. So you have to be constantly building a relationship with your supplier, but also not afraid to question their quality, question their supplier, question whether or not you can get it better, cheaper. You often hear the story about cut out the middleman, whatever. That's not always the answer. But in looking for the solution, you find it. You might find another way of working with that supplier. Definitely. Landlords do a lot of bullying. Okay. And shopping malls, you would have known in the press, are taking heat because they've bullied the wrong people out of their premises. And when you bully an anchor tenant out of a premises, there's, so the landlords come with these ideas. Oh, you can't put your Boerewors stand there, or you can't market, or you're not allowed to put your signage over there, or you have to work till 10 o'clock. There's no customers in the mall after 5 o'clock, but you must be. That's why I say bullying doesn't always look like the bullying. If you've got your plan, and that's a one-pager, you will be okay if you stick to it. You can avoid a lot of any bullying or sideshows by having a proper plan. And that's not just the cuck you give the bank. It's that who, what, when, and how, and why. If you can answer that to yourself, you're gonna be fine.
Awesome. Thank you for those words of wisdom. Al and I have been having also discussions how we can also leverage Unfiltered a little bit in terms of giving more advice. And that is something we're still working on, right,
Okay.
Al? It's still a discussion we need to have. Because I think our viewers can gain so much wisdom from you, from the lessons you've learned and busy learning and still going to learn, like we all do in business. And to bring that knowledge to our viewers in a packaged form. Okay. But that's a conversation we still need to have.
Got to be had.
Yeah.
I'm really passionate to see the smaller business guy take the next step. I think it's going to change our country.
It is.
It's going to change our unemployment situation. It's going to give a lot more people purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the butterfly effect. You help a little business today, tomorrow it's a conglomerate. Yeah. How many businesses, I said it to a friend of mine this week, how many big businesses started out in a garage? Go and have a look. DHL, Amazon, Apple. I mean,
we actually had guests on the show, Mark and Josh from Mineral Innovative Technologies. They started in the garage, and they've got a global business today. And their offices are right here in Verwoerd Park in Alberton, the head office. So it just shows you that where there's a dream and a will, it can be done, right? Yeah. So, okay, Al, quickly, some rapid fire questions. I didn't tell you what we're going to do this. So, success is overrated because
it's relative. Success for some people is paying their 5,000 rand bond at the end of the month. Success for other people might be being CEO of a conglomerate.
It depends on where you find yourself.
It's relative, yeah.
Most entrepreneurs are quietly lying about
how easy it was. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not as easy as what it's,
Putting that mask on again.
Correct.
The biggest mistake people make when starting a business is?
Cash flow projection.
Okay. What would you never do again, no matter what?
Leverage. I would never leverage what I did in the old days about how I stacked all my cards together. Okay. I built what do you call those things, a card house.
Okay.
And leverage this against that, against this, and eventually somebody pulls one card and the whole thing comes down.
Okay. The thing that actually keeps you going when everything else is hard?
Results. Yeah, you've got to, and that's why your plan and your target has to be so sound, because when all else is failing, you still got to see that light and keep aiming there.
Okay. What actually matters at the end of the day?
What matters is that, can I sleep tonight, and have I raised kids that are going to survive in this world? Ultimately, we're going to die with nothing. Everybody. But how you lived on earth, that is going to face you one day at Judgment Day. So whether we were a billionaire or a beggar, we're going to face the same judgment. We're going to be buried in the same hole. Whether the beggar's not going to have the family fighting over the assets, the billionaire might. But ultimately, you just be kind, hey,
Okay, awesome.
Ultimately, yeah.
So many words of wisdom. Thank you, Al. For those who loved this episode, and I'm sure you did, if you didn't, there's something wrong with you. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel, Unfiltered. But also, go and look back at Al's first episode with us on Unfiltered. We'll tag it somewhere on the screen. Our editors will do that. So go and watch that episode as well. There's a very profound story how Al has been embezzled for 25 million rand, but still today he's here, a very successful businessman, still facing challenges. So it doesn't mean that when you do prosper, that it comes without challenges then, but there's still challenges. So we can learn a lot from Al. So go and watch that episode, and please comment down below what you thought about this. If you do have questions, comment down below as well, so that we can get that answered for you. And
But I'll bully back, eh?
so Al, yeah, I will. Let's keep it neat and clean, otherwise you might see a different side of Al. So Al, thank you once again. Loved having you on the show, and looking forward to having you on the show a few more times. So
Happily.
thanks, Al. To all our viewers, thank you once again for tuning in. Have a good one. Till the next time. Cheers.
Unfiltered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, unfiltered AF.